Welcome to the Mindful Practice Podcast, a space for physicians navigating burnout, identity shifts, and career change without pressure or judgment. I'm your host, Dr. Bertina Hooks, a board-certified internal medicine physician, coach, and writer. Here we talk honestly about what it means to build a sustainable career and a life beyond medicine and survival. Life after the white coat myth, reclaiming identity, choice, and freedom. Hello, and welcome to the Mindful Practice Podcast. My name is Dr. Bertina Hooks, and today we're going to talk about life after the white coat mythology. After the myth breaks, there's a moment that comes after the white coat myth cracks. It's not dramatic. It's not celebratory. It's usually quiet and a little disorienting. You've named the truth. This identity doesn't fit me the way it used to. Then the question shows up. Now what? Life after the white coat myth doesn't begin with answers. It begins with uncertainty. And for physicians who were trained to value certainty above almost everything else, that can be terrifying. Today, we're not talking about quitting medicine. We're not talking about radical pivots or overnight reinvention. We are talking about what happens after you stop letting the white coat define the entirety of who you are. What comes next? What feels hard? And what becomes possible? The in-between space no one prepares you for. After the myth breaks, most people expect relief, but what often comes first is grief. Grief for the certainty you used to have, the clarity of a single identity, being a physician, the version of yourself you believed, if I just get there, I'll be okay. Now you're in this in-between space, this uncertainty. You haven't rejected medicine, but you're no longer unquestioning. You haven't rebuilt your identity, but the old one no longer holds. And this space feels uncomfortable because you're no longer operating on autopilot. Old metrics of success don't fully work. New ones haven't been defined yet. Many physicians panic here and rush to replace one rigid identity with another. But this space isn't a problem. It isn't. It's a threshold. It's a threshold to a new potential chapter. Identity doesn't disappear. It expands. Here's one of the most important truths about life after the white coat myth. You don't lose your identity. You expand it. The fear sounds like, if I'm not a doctor, who am I? But the reality is, you were always more than the white coat. The coat just took up all the oxygen. On the other side of the myth, physicians begin to rediscover curiosity, creativity, personal preferences, limits. You start asking questions. What energizes me? What drains me? What kind of life do I actually want to sustain? And these questions are not selfish. They are stabilizing because identity in one role is fragile. Identity rooted in values is resilient. Choice returns, and that can be unsettling. One of the most strangest things about life after the white coat myth is this. You realize you have choices, and that can be overwhelming. Before, the path felt predetermined. This training, this job, this ladder, this definition of success. But after the myth breaks, the path widens. Some physicians respond by staying clinical, but with boundaries, creating hybrid roles, or exploring non-clinical paths, or building parallel interests and businesses. Redefining success entirely. The key difference isn't what you choose, it's that you're choosing consciously. And the conscious choice requires self-trust, something many physicians were never taught to cultivate. I think that this point is important because a lot of physicians are on a predetermined path. They may choose their specialty, and once they decide it, they are going about their career path a certain way. But it may not be in alignment with what they truly desire for their career and their personal life. And so when you realize that the white coat mythology is a fallacy, and you start to realize that your entire identity is not your profession, your entire identity is not what you do for a living, but rather it is based on your core values. That's what truly defines you. Then you need to start pivoting towards a career role that is in alignment with that. But that requires some self-reflection. That requires some reflective questioning. And that can be an uncomfortable space for a lot of physicians because there may be fear of the unknown, which is common. We're humans. But having support, taking time to reflect, and utilizing other tools like peer support, coaching, therapy to resolve present and past issues can help you gain clarity about what truly matters to you. I was recently working with a client who was having trouble deciding what type of career pivot they wanted to make. In order to make a career pivot, though, we had to take a deep dive into what resonated with them with their current role and what was draining them from their current role, and see what their core values were. That's called an energy value audit. And I highly recommend that physicians do that if they're questioning leaving their career. In addition to doing that self-reflection, you also need to create a strategic plan. No one should pivot from one career to another, like I did, in the middle of a medical crisis. You should be able to sit back, reflect, and come up with a strategic 90-day plan to help you transition successfully. or at least explore that career path successfully so that you know what aligns with you and what doesn't. Guilt, grief, and the sound of should. Let's be honest about what still shows up after the myth breaks. Guilt, doubt, the voice of should. It sounds like, I should be grateful. I should want more. Others have it worse. That voice is the residue of the myth. It's not truth. It's the conditioning. Life after the white coat myth involves learning to notice that voice without letting it drive you. You learn to ask, is that guilt, information, or habit? Am I making decisions from fear or alignment? This isn't about rejecting responsibility. It's about rejecting self-erasure. What freedom actually looks like. Freedom after the white coat myth isn't dramatic. It's subtle. It looks like saying no without over-explaining. Letting your career serve your life, not replace it. Valuing sustainability over heroics. Allowing seasons to change. For some physicians, freedom means staying exactly where they are, but differently. For others, it means leaving. For many, it means something in between. Freedom isn't a destination. It's a relationship with yourself. And that relationship gets stronger every time you honor your limits, your values, and your evolving identity. Building a life that can hold you. Life after the white coat myth is about building something that can hold you, sustain you. A life where your worth isn't measured by productivity. Your identity isn't held hostage by a title. Your nervous system isn't constantly in survival mode. But this doesn't happen all at once. It's a process. It happens through small, brave choices, honest conversations, boundary experiments, and the permission to change your mind and allowing yourself to want what you want. And most importantly, it's learning to trust yourself again. You are not late and you are not broken. If you're listening to this and thinking, I wish I had realized this sooner, let me say this clearly. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not failing. You're waking up. Life after the white coat myth isn't about rejecting who you are. It's about integrating who you are becoming. The white coat can still be a part of your story, but it's not the whole story. Sit with this question as you move forward. What would it look like to build a life that actually fits me now? You don't need a full answer. You just need permission to keep asking. Thank you for listening. Before we close for today, I wanted to share my own journey with redefining success. I had been experiencing burnout, as I shared before, since 2016, after about 5 years into my career as a hospitalist. And during that time, I initially explored locums, which will be the first career pathway we'll discuss on this podcast. The reason why locums was beneficial for me because it allowed me to have flexibility, and increased financial security. So as I explored other career paths, I was able to do that without that financial pressure. And also to have more time to reflect and do the work to figure out which career path was right for me. Coaching and therapy helped me come to those realizations. It helped me find the clarity to define what are my core values, what energizes me, what drains me, and most importantly, what is my definition of success? For me, my definition of success was to have flexibility in my schedule as a single mother. It also was important to have financial security and to have a work-life balance to prevent burnout. For me, the definition of success ultimately became a hybrid of doing locums, utilization management, and medical expert work, as well as the coaching that I do today. But in my journey, I explored different aspects of medicine. I did telemedicine, I did locums, I explored direct primary care, and each one of these experiences helped me define which one was in alignment with my core values. That's ultimately why I decided to do a hybrid of all of these things, because all of them connected and aligned with my core values of flexibility and financial freedom. So I hope that example helps you understand that this is a journey and a process. I started this process in 2016, and it's now 2026. So over the last 10 years, I have redefined my definition of success throughout my career. And now I can fully say that I'm living a life that is in alignment with my core values. And that makes me feel fulfilled and satisfied with the life I have, because my medical career sustains me. And having a sustainable life in medicine is important. If this resonated with you and you're interested in exploring more with coaching or webinars that I offer, go to pinnaclebusinessacademy.org. Thank you for listening to the Mindful Practice Podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, you can find free burnout and career clarity resources at pinnaclebusinessacademy.org. And if this podcast supported you, please consider subscribing or sharing it with a colleague who might need it. Remember, you are more than your white coat. You are not broken, and you are allowed to evolve. Until next time, take care of yourself, not just your role.